The streets, in our local parlance, is the kind of lifestyle lived in poor and underdeveloped communities in major cities in Nigeria. The streets is a lifestyle that is characterized by hooliganism, gangsterism, thuggery, poor exposure and education. On the other hand, many people who are raised in these communities are highly talented. We've seen some of them in Nigeria's music industry.
When I sleep and I'm dreaming, man, I just don't wanna wake up. I realize that I'm married to the game and me and my stick never break up. I put it down for the ghetto, being that way from the get-go. And I wonder.
And oftentimes, filmmakers like to tell stories of people from the streets. Today on our program, we want to show you recent Nollywood movies that portray the streets.
Welcome to the streets.
The first of them is Picture Perfect. The movie Picture Perfect, produced and directed by Biodun Steven, is a film that tells the story of the relationship between a typical Lagos tout, played by Bolanle Ninolowo, and a prim and proper career-driven fashion designer, played by Mary Remy Njoku.
All I see is heartbreakers and Agbada wearing demon.
That little miss over there needs some good oil.
I am telling you that a social vice has encamped in my perimeters.
He is such a bloke. I mean, how cute is that?
In Picture Perfect, we see what transpired between Bolanle Ninolowo's character, who was constantly constituting nuisance around Mary's office space.
You know, this is the first time I'm playing this kind of character where I had to actually transit into something else. You know, very, very challenging for me when I shot it. It was actually the film that got me into becoming a conductor for about a week. You know, I had to understand the mannerisms and, you know, the way these people live and eat and how they do things. You know, so that was quite challenging, but I learned a lot.
Bolanle nailed the character of a typical Lagos street boy in Picture Perfect. He gave us insight on how street boys behave, especially in Lagos.
I like to always shock people and do things out of the norm. So when I casted him, nobody, of course, people will not see that coming. But Nino did the homework himself. Nino went to the bus park. He did 5 days being a conductor, I think 12 to 6 every day for 5 days. Sits with them, learns the whole lingo. And you know, so when he came, it was just because I already told him that I want this is what I want to do, and I need you to prove to everybody that you can kill it.
For 5 years now, I don't drive this taxi. I not be JJC for the matter.
Driving about the whole place, driving taxi, is that work?
Another movie that portrays the streets is Ghetto Bread, a film produced by Eniola Badmus.
At least now we dey run street.
Yes, you are running streets now. Running the whole street like a mad dog.
Is that how bad you think of me?
You said, how bad you think you be?
From the name of the movie, you can tell that the geographical setting of the film was in a neglected community, and the plot is about a major character in the movie that emerged from that community.
Ghetto Bread is a comedy movie, and also Ghetto Bread is talking about a day-to-day hustle of a spirited and overzealous woman that is a tomboy that actually found herself in a male-dominated occupation. She's a cab driver, and she likes to get things done in her own way. And most importantly, she actually found love in an uncommon place.
Eniola did so well by interpreting the travails of a ghetto girl who was striving to have a good life for herself.
I'm a ghetto girl. I don't have to go out of my way to do ghetto glam. I just have to put a bit of glam into ghetto, and I got this. And now I'm pained that I'm not in the movie because I wasn't in town making babies, and she told me, but unfortunately I couldn't make it down to Nigeria. But Eniola, kudos to you, well done.
When they say Ghetto Bread, I'm sure they has a little bit of ghetto and a little bit of riches. Any bad those you know they carry last now. The
last movie that portrays the streets is the recently released King of Boys by Kemi Adetiba.
I have a question for you. I want you to think carefully. before you answer.
King of Boys is a movie about gangsterism and hooliganism in the streets. Kemi's movie indeed portrays what goes on the streets, but on a higher level.
Mama, we need to see you. I need to do it.
You have to run the battle line.
King of Boys didn't show the poor communities, but the majority of its characters are definitely people who rose from the streets.
Yes, so that's our tiger. Kiga, see, we're anti-Shola Shobowale's henchmen. The last two that were loyal. Yes, shout out to Tony Tones. No. You people need to go and see King of Boys. I need to see Tony Tones' role. It's awesome, it's amazing.
I am Laburu. God's worst punishment in a person.
And with that, we wrap up our special report on recent movies that portray the streets.
We sure hope you enjoyed this video. For more entertaining video content such as behind the scenes of music videos and movies, music concerts, premieres, interviews, and exclusive gists, subscribe now to our YouTube channel GoldmyneTV and be unleashed into a world of super excitement.